welcome to Little Fine Art. I'm Emily, the Fine Art Medium. In today's video, we are going to be coming at you with part 2 of the possession of Annaliese Michel. And I highly recommend watching the first part so you know what the hell's going on. And again, I am going to make this known that I am reading directly from the sources themselves so that I can then go back and do my reaction and go in through the material and teach what I need to teach. So yeah, without further ado, let's crack into it with part 2 of the case of Annaliese Michel. Yeah. So, prosecution. After an investigation, the state prosecutor maintained that her death could have been prevented even 1 week before she died. I mean, if you could get her to eat, which not eating, again, is a sign of someone who is possessed. In 1976, the state charged her parents and priest Ernest Alt and Arnold Rentz with negligent homicide. The parents were defended by Erich Schmidt-Leichner. Their lawyers were sponsored by the church. The state recommended that no involved parties be jailed. Instead, the recommended sentence for the priest was a fine, while the prosecution concluded that the parents should be exempt from punishment as they had suffered enough, which is a criterion in German penal law. The trial started on the 30th of March 1978 in the district court and drew intense interest. Before the court, doctors testified that Michel was not possessed, stating that this was a psychological effect because of her strict religious upbringing and her epilepsy. But the doctor, Richard Roth, who was asked for medical help by Alt, allegedly told her during the exorcism that there is no injection against the devil, Annaliese. Schmidt-Leichner said that the exorcism was legal and that the German Constitution protected citizens in the unrestricted exercise of their religious beliefs. The defense played tapes recorded at the exorcism sessions, sometimes featuring what was claimed to be demons arguing to assert their claim that Michel was possessed. Both priests and the demons identified themselves as Lucifer, Cain, Judas, Iscariot, Belial, Legion, Hitler, and Nero. Among others, they further said that she was finally freed because of the exorcism just before her death. Oof, that's a lot to digest. Okay, I just got that feeling of, So part of my discernment abilities is I get this weird, feeling. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like goosebumps, but not quite. And I just got that. So, to me, that indicates that this story is indeed real, which I never doubted it to begin with, but it was good validation. Alright, the bishop said that he was not aware of her alarming health condition when he approved of the exorcism and did not testify. Of course he didn't testify. The accused were convicted of negligent homicide and were given suspended prison sentences in April 1978 and were ordered to share the costs of the proceedings. The sentences have been described as stiffer than requested by the prosecutor who had asked that the priest only be fined and that the parents be found guilty but not punished. The church, approving such an old-fashioned exorcism rite, drew public and media attention. According to John M. Duffy, the case was a misidentification of mental illness, allegedly. So yeah, according to this guy, he's saying it's misidentification of mental illness. Alright. Exumation and Aftermath. After the trial, the parents asked the authorities for permission to exhume the remains of their daughter. The official reason presented by parents to authorities was that Michael had been buried in undue hurry in a cheap coffin almost 2 years after the burial on February 25th, 1978. Her remains were replaced in a new oak coffin lined with tin. The official reports state that the body bore the signs of consistent deterioration, and that is noted because somebody said or alleged that the body was not decomposing, which if you didn't know, when you have bodies like that do not decompose after, like a possession, or they're into the occult, or what have you, that is a sign of the demonic, is that the body, once it has been deceased, that it will not decay, and that it'll stay in pristine condition. So, yeah. Alright. So, the accused exorcists were discouraged from seeing the remains. Arnold Rentz later stated that he had been prevented from entering the mortuary, and then her grave and remains became a pilgrimage site. The number of officially sanctioned exorcisms decreased in Germany due to this case, in spite of Pope Benedict the Sixth's support for wider use of it compared to Pope John Paul II, who in 1999 made the rules stricter, involving only rare cases. So now it's even harder to get an official exorcism. On June 6, 2013, a fire broke out in the house where Annaliese lived, and although the local police said it was a case of arson, some locals attributed it to the exorcism case, which I just got that feeling again. So that was not due to arson, I'm telling you right now. So demonic entities can absolutely do that. They can set fires. And it's very interesting that it's in the same spot. And okay, so now we're going to go to a different source. And this is SinisterIsles.com. And again, the link will be down below. So, in February 1970, she was hospitalized with tuberculosis, where a third incident happened and saw her cruelly mocked by other patients after she soiled herself in the ward. Alright, so the tuberculosis thing, I'm guessing that has to do with the pneumonia illness that she had suffered. So I'm guessing this is in correlation to that. It was during this time in the hospital, she claimed that she began to see colors, heard sounds, and experienced euphoria while saying a rosary. Okay. And then I guess she was then diagnosed with epilepsy. Which again, she could have even had like the illness with the demonic possession on top of it. Because when you're sick, it's easier to be attacked. because it's hard to defend yourself. It is said she had licked her own urine from the floor, eaten coal, stripped naked, and eaten bugs. Or insects. Same thing. One night, as she ate dinner, Annaliese's hands reportedly swelled up to a huge size. She cried out, "I have black hands. My savior, forgive me." At the same time, she could see diabolical faces on the wall, which she described as having 7 crowns and 7 horns. That's very specific. It was around this time that her mother reportedly caught her staring at a statue of the Virgin Mary in their home, and her eyes were jet black, and her hands looked like paws with claws. Holy water burned her, and she tore her rosary. She claimed a saint medal her father bought her suffocated her. It was added that she began to speak with a voice so deep she sounded like a man, and she exuded a foul odor. Okay, so once we get through all like the illness type related things, there are things there that an illness like epilepsy does not, have as a symptom. So like her voice completely changing, and the odor, of course, of rotten meat or flesh and death and decay. Yeah, that is definitely a sign of demonic possession. All right. Her childhood home later burnt down, which, again, they talked about the fire appearing in the same spot. As she began avoiding religious items like crosses and the holy water, priests realized she was showing signs of demonic possession. They claimed, and I already said their name, so I'm not going to say it again. There's another one they added, though. I can't even say it. A disgraced priest from the 16th century. Oh, that's the name I cannot pronounce. Were all using her body as a vessel. And I know I mentioned Hitler, which people are going to be like, well, Hitler was a person, he wasn't a demon. But when you have evil people can then become demonized, and they can actually become demons. So yes, that is possible. As the exorcisms went on, she stopped eating and became increasingly frail, which when you eat, that you're going to be weak. And so not eating, again, is a sign of possession. But with this said, right, she is so frail, right, from her condition. And then they note this. She still had to be held down and even chained up while the priest tried to force the demons out of her. Which, ding, 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 right? If this was just illness, right? Mental illness, and then you have her physical ailments on top of that, right? And she is, 68 pounds and sick, obviously, because now she had tuberculosis and all that. Okay? If it was just health related, how the fuck could all those people not handle someone who was 68 pounds? Okay? And I hate that this will not focus. Come on. Fuck, I give up. So yeah. So a 68-pound woman had to be chained up and held down. On top of that, her voice is at times so deep that it sounds like a man's. And she's got that odor thing going on. There you go. Your signs. When she died in 1976, her autopsy revealed she had fractured teeth, bruised limbs, broken knees, and black eyes. But before she died, the priest claimed to have seen stigmata on her hands and feet. Okay, that is very interesting. So, when you are very malnourished, yes, you can get bruised. Your teeth are not as strong, your hair is not as strong, so yeah, it's easier for broken bones and whatnot. Yes. Black eyes? I don't know how. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know how that would happen. So, the stigmata thing. Now, there were, I can't think of the freaking names of, like, the saints and the priests that have had stigmata, but that can happen. And if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much like the injuries that Jesus had suffered are then brought on to other people. So, where he got his pinned to the cross by his hands and feet, and then she had the same wounds on her hands and feet, that would be stigmata. And in the movie of The Exorcism of Emily Rose, I believe there was a part where she, at the end, I think, she was, I guess, talking to the Virgin Mary. I forget, it's been such a long time since I've seen that movie. But pretty much, what is said, and I'm sorry if spoilers, but spoilers, if you don't want to know them, stop and maybe skip ahead a minute or two. That she had to suffer through this in order to save other people. Long story short. So, yeah. They took these marks, said to represent where Jesus was nailed to the cross, as I said, as a symbol that her soul had been freed, which I hope so. I think so. But while we might hope that Annalise finally found peace in death, a nun told her parents that she had a vision that their troubled daughter's body was not decomposing, which is what I said earlier about the priests trying to go back to look. Okay, so yeah, that is her story. Now, let's go into the nitty-picky parts of it. Okay, so, and I already stated this, that the red flags, right? Her diagnosis, well, she didn't even have she had a diagnosis. And I'm really mad at myself that I did not include the part where it said that there were doctors saying that her test came back normal. I don't know why I didn't, Oh, right here. Wow, what the fuck. So yeah, a year later, something similar happened, but a doctor and neurologist found there was nothing wrong with her. Okay, so I did state it, and it's under the source Sinister Isles. Okay, perfect. So yeah. You can't, as a physician, a lot of them do this. They will slap a Band-Aid, diagnosis, if they don't know, because they're guessing. And they pretty much figure it out. Like, if their tests come back normal and they don't know, they'll put that, guess diagnosis on, and then they'll try to confirm it through the treating with drugs, right? And they'll do that. That's what they did to me. And so that's what they did. That's why they came up. I mean, I'm sure it's possible she had epilepsy. It's possible she did. But then how are you going to state that when she suffered one of those attacks again, that the doctor and neurologist found nothing wrong with her? That's what gets me. because epilepsy is a serious, like, ailment that one can suffer. And so they are very specific on their testing and whatnot. So to me, to have someone say, oh, everything is fine, red flag number 1. Okay? Red flag number 2. And also, mental illness can also look like demonic possession. And demonic possession can look like mental illness. They kind of go back. You could have both at the same time. It's really hard to diagnose both. And yeah. So she's having all these issues and they can't figure out why. 2. We got the acid reflux, voice change, super strength, adverse reactions to religious symbols, specific places like the dirt where it burned her feet in that shrine. I'm already losing count. Like, I feel like I'm putting up fingers and I don't even remember. Yeah. Anyway. Specific names were said. The stigmata. I got that feeling. But that's not, we're not going to count that. Hallucinations. So she had the audible hallucinations and the visible hallucinations. Yeah. What else, you guys? Na, 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 na. Oh. Not eating. Oh, the weird behavior. So now we're at 10, right? And then eating bugs, coal. So eating weird shit. So now we're at 11. And I'm going to include drinking the urine. Trying to think what else. Am I missing some stuff? Yeah. I mean, we're at 11 red flags. If this was just illness, it would probably fit on one hand. I'm just saying. Oh, the thought of her feeling alone and depression. Saying, like, making her feel like she's damned and worthless, and, you know, to get her down to where it is easier for her to accept that she is those things so they can possess her. So we're at 13. The hearing, sound, seeing colors, I'm counting that as hallucinations. Yeah. So we already got 13 signs right there. She was very specific on the demons and what they look like. So the 7 crowns, 7 horns. That's bad. Yeah. So we're at 14. So let's go through the 4 stages of demonic haunting. So infestation, oppression, influence, and then possession. So where she could have picked it up, that could have turned it into infestation, it's not clear on that. Again, now, in other videos that I've made, you can go back and look and I will say, like, how you can bring a demon by accident and the ways, that happens. So, like, she could be at the wrong place at the wrong time. She was really, really religious and went to church twice a week. Holy crap. I know some very religious people and they don't go twice a week. So, it's possible that she actually had an illness like epilepsy, right? And because she was weakened, the demon decided, or demons were like, hey, we're just gonna attack her because she's an easy target. And because she's very religious, a lot of them are just like, ha ha ha, funny. They think it's a joke. So they'll go after those types of people. So it's possible her infestation came that way. It's possible that she met a person that was into the occult or Satanism or whatever, that, she could have been cursed. Who the fuck knows? With the resources I went through, I did not find anything about how this may have happened. So there's that. Now the oppression part. So that's pretty much making you feel like, you're worthless and all that stuff, scaring you. So oppression could be in the forms of hallucinations, which she did have, telling her that she was damned and making her believe that over and over again. Oppression. Illness, if they caused any of that. Depression. Yeah, there's a bunch. Now, influence. Black eyes, if they're trying to, that could be part of influence, but also possession. Influence could also be like when her behavior turns to things that are not part of her. Religious, when aversions to religious items. And then that could also be carried over to possession. Influence could also be, and this also hovers into possession, like when she acts out and is very animalistic and eats things that you shouldn't eat as a person. That could be between the both of them. Yeah. And then possession, we already pretty much kind of went over that. So the inversion of religious items or places, animalistic behaviors, nasty smells and odors, the voices that she produced from her body, yeah. The reaction, so the aversion, not just like disliking the religious items, but the reactions when she touches the items. So like burning flesh when, holy water or holy ground touches her, or, the crucifix touches her. Yes, that can also be seen under possession. So yeah, this was a long one. This is cutting close to an hour. Once I edit it, it'll be a little less, but yeah. So yeah, that was Annaliese Michel in her case study. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below. I am very, curious to what you guys have to say. And I'm going to be starting this, like now-ish. If you have your own stories, haunting stories, or experiences, that you want to share, and you can be anonymous if you want, or I can read your name out, whatever you want. Message me on Instagram, which I always have that linked somewhere, and we'll figure it out. We'll get your story heard. You are not alone in this. There are other people in this community that, understand what you're going through. We are here for you, and you're not alone. So, yeah, I will be making that available. I am working on a website that'll have all my art stuff. So if you're interested in buying any of that, I'll have all my paranormal stuff if you're interested in any, sessions. And same with art, if there's anything, commissions you want. I'm going to have everything all on one website once I get that shit figured out. It's going to take a bit. And I'll have, write-ins where you write in your experiences that you want to share. I will have that as an option on my website. But for right now, it's going to be on Instagram. Just message me there. If you want to, say your story anonymously or not anonymously, you have both options. And I have a bunch of everything on my Patreon if you want to support. It's only $1 to support. And you have access to everything I post. So that includes art, videos, and I will be posting videos on there as soon as I'm done making them, so you don't have to wait the week in advance or 2 weeks. And I'm trying to get better with the amount of videos I post ahead of time on there first before I do it and release it on my YouTube. So you guys will have, you'll have access over everybody to watch everything as soon as I post it, and I'll be posting it immediately after I'm done with it. So yeah, and of course my art stuff like wallpapers, commissions if you want, merch, tarot card readings. There's a bunch of shit. So if you want to support, it's only $1 to start. And then depending on whatever tiers you want, it goes up from there. But basic support is $1 and you pretty much have access to everything. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. And I will see you soon. So peace out.